Today on Stamp TV, I'm going to show you a fun, vibrant card featuring the new stamp set Poster Board Sentiments by Becky Ohlers and Lots of Dots by Beth Staleka. The Poster Board Sentiments are huge, bold greetings that look great up against the bold background created with the Lots of Dots stamp set. Let me show you the tools and products you need to make this project. First, you're going to need some ink pads, and I'm using 4 of the Gina Designs ink pads. I'm using Fresh Asparagus, Honey Mustard, Ocean Mist, and Red Hot. Then you're going to need some cardstock, and I'm using some of the Gina Designs white cardstock, some Red Hot, and some Ocean Mist. You're also going to need some ribbon and a button and a little bit of twine for the embellishment. So I'm using some of the Ocean Mist grosgrain ribbon. This is the 5/8 of an inch. I'm also using some of the 3/8 of an inch Red Hot gingham ribbon. And then I have some of the red and white twine by We Are Memory Keepers. And I also have a few of the Ocean Mix buttons. And I just wanted to show you a few of them. I'm only going to choose one, but these are some of the different ones that I thought would match the project the best. Then you're going to need some scissors, and I'm using my Cutter Bee scissors to cut my ribbon down. You're also going to need some stamps, and I am using the largest stamp from the Poster Board Sentiments, and I'm also using the Lots of Dots stamp set, and I'm going to use lots of different dots from this particular one. So to begin, I'm going to create a background using the Lots of Dots. So I'm going to start with the largest one. I store my stamps on our binder sheets, and then I use the acetate that came with them to cover up the stamps. So basically I take the little cellophane paper off, and then I just pop it right onto our storage panel binder sheet. Okay, so I'm going to use the largest circular Lots of Dots image. Get that centered a little better on my block. I have a little piece of, you can't really see it on the camera, but it's a little piece of cardstock that was under there. Okay, so I'm going to start with the Ocean Mist ink and ink up this stamp. And then I'm going to randomly stamp this to create a background. So I'll stamp one here in the corner. You can see how nice and vibrant our inks are. I'll stamp one down here. Stamp one over here, and one right here. Now when you're making a background, make sure that you stamp some of the images off the piece of cardstock, because if you were using pattern paper, that's how it would look. Certain parts of it would be cut off, and you don't want all of your images right in the center. You want them to flow off the cardstock. The next stamp I'm going to use, let me just clean that one. The next one I'm going to use is the same design but the smaller version of it, which is this one. And I'm going to use that with some Red Hot. And I'll start up here with one image. There we go. You can see how nice and vibrant that red is too. Do one there. And when you're working with clear stamps, if you've never worked with them before, you may notice that I hold the stamp down for a second because you want the ink to have a chance to remove itself from the stamp and absorb a little bit into the paper, into your cardstock. If you stamp too quickly, you're not going to get a full impression. So stamp down on it and give it a second and then lift it up, and you won't have any problems at all. I'll do one more right here, like that, and I think that'll be good. Okay, so now my next image is going to be this large single dot, that one, and I'm going to use the Fresh Asparagus ink to create these dots. So you want to give that a second to completely transfer the ink, and then you can see you get nice, big, chunky images that are solid. One here. I still want to leave a little bit of room because I have my honey mustard coming up too. So there we go. And now I'm going to do a couple different ones with honey mustard. I'm going to use this open dot and do a few little rings in honey mustard. One there. One there. And maybe one here. It's kind of fun near the end. You get to just kind of fill in where you see some little openings. Okay. And then I'm going to get the smallest dot, this tiny one, almost looks like the size of the head of an eraser. And I'm going to fill in the rest of the little areas that I need some color using this same color ink, but just using the smallest stamp. Isn't that fun? Do one there. And of course you can mix and match. You could go back and add some of these small dots in red or in the ocean mist, whatever you think will finish off your project. And also remember that you are going to have a focal image on top, so not every part of this is going to show. All right, I think I'll leave it just like that for my background. And I'm going to adhere this background onto a piece of red hot cardstock. So I'll do that now. And this is just cut 1/8 of an inch bigger than my piece of cardstock. Gives me that nice thin border that I love. I love that look. And then this whole panel is going to go on top of that ocean mist. So you can see how nicely that red hot really brings out the background in the lots of dots background. But I'm going to add a little bit of ribbon and a button. But before I do that, I'm going to take another piece of cardstock and that nice big greeting by Becky Ohlers from the Poster Board Sentiments. One of the things I love about this particular greeting, I remember, I believe it was Winnie the Pooh and Piglet who had this little conversation. Always remember you are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, smarter than you think. I love this because it's a really nice way of encouraging someone, whether it's because they lost a job or they're trying to get into a school or possibly even have an illness or something, but it makes it just a little bit more, it's a little bit sweeter. It could be used for a younger person, and it's a little bit more playful too, so if it's something that's not too serious, it's just a little bit more playful. Okay. So now with a stamp this big, you want to make sure that you really give it a second for the ink to transfer to the paper. And then I always like to just hold it steady and just rub over the entire area. Sometimes with the bigger stamps, if you can't stamp them upside down where you lay the cardstock on the paper, you do need to make sure that you transfer all the ink by putting a little bit of pressure on there. So you can see, look how beautiful that stamp inked up that paper. And then I'm just going to cut right around that by making a cut right down this side and down this side, and we're going to layer that up on a little bit of red hot and ocean mist cardstock, which I'll show you in my finished card project. So I'm going back to the background here, and I'm going to create a little bit of an embellishment with some ribbon and a button. I'm going to first use the thicker ribbon, the ocean mist ribbon, 5/8 of an inch, and I'm going to tape that right across the center of the card but I'm not going to put the tape directly behind the ribbon. I'm going to put it behind the card. I want access to underneath that ribbon for when I attach the button. And one of the things I really enjoy doing with our coordinating ribbon, our Color Companions ribbon collection, is layering ribbons, especially when you have the two different widths. You have the 3/8 and the 5/8. It's so pretty to layer those together, and it just makes the card a little bit more interesting that way. So I'm going to cut a smaller piece of ribbon here that's going to, or a thinner piece of ribbon that's going to just go right in the center there. So I'll line that up, but of course you can lift it and shift it a little bit as you need to. This little excess piece off, and then I'll turn that over and make sure it's straight. There we go. So now I have a nice little piece of ribbon going across. Now I could leave it like that, but the buttons look so pretty when you add them to the project. So let me grab one of these buttons. Here's a 2-hole button that I can use. So I think I'll use that one. I'm going to grab a little bit of this red and white twine. And you've seen me separate it in the past so that I can either use it just as red or just as white. Well, for this project, I'm going to keep it red and white since it will coordinate with the other ribbon that's in the project. So I'm just going to slip that underneath with my scissors. And then I'm going to feed one side. Let me trim this down just a little bit more because I separated it. I'm going to feed one side of the ribbon through one hole and the other side of the ribbon through the other hole. And then position that where I want it. Now I want this pretty close because that panel is going to take up a nice big chunk of that card. So I want to keep it pretty close to the edge here. So once I have it in place, I want to make sure that the two pieces of twine are fairly even so I can tie a nice bow in it. There we go. And slide that over just a little and give that a nice tight tie. And then I'm going to make a little knot in it to hold everything in place. And then a bow on top. And you can make that bow whatever size you want. Some people like to cut the loops of the bow so it just looks like fringe on either side. That's another way to decorate it. And then if it's buckling, you see the way that's buckling a little bit, then you can go back and lift the back again and just give it a little bit of relaxation room there so it's not quite so tight. And once that's done, this whole panel will pop onto the Ocean Mist card base, and then you're going to put the greeting panel, the poster board sentiment, right on top there using some 1/4-inch pop dots. Let me show you my finished card. Here I've done that already, and you can see I started with the poster board sentiments, and then I layered that on top of some red hot cardstock, and then also on some Ocean Mist. And with 1/4-inch pop dots, it raises the panel just enough so that the bulk of that ribbon doesn't get in the way, but it holds everything nice and secure. So there is my finished card. Both the poster board sentiments and Lots of Dots stamp sets work beautifully together, or they'll mix and match with other stamps in your collection.